is. And I always go to Merriam-Webster because I have it happen on the bigger cases, and I say Merriam-Webster defines it because I'm not getting in this debate with you. This is, hey, that's an admission. I even quote William Jefferson Clinton, what is. They're using the Clinton's defense. And I have a footnote where I quote it. But going to the debate, who, in your opinion, won the debate?
I think they both lost. Chris Wallace probably won the debate because he was the most aggressive and
Wallace did a horrible job.
In domineering person in that debate. Yeah, it was just a bad debate. I think Biden appeared. That's where his years in politics showed. He kept his, I guess, cool or whatever. He had that delivery, that more polished delivery, and Trump just kept talking over him and stuff. I thought everybody lost. But Biden said a whole bunch of stuff that was just, to me, nuts. Like saying that Antifa is an idea, not an organization.
He was quoting the FBI director who testified under oath to the Congress.
But when did he say that? And by the way,
he did say that.
Yeah, but Antifa is clearly an organization because Antifa and their like are the ones burning down these cities. And everybody knows this, and so for him to not come out and say that I condemn these
that's something the FBI said.
Let me stop you this. Do you really believe these riots are because of Antifa?
Maybe they're part of it, but there's multiple. There's a lot of different organizations. There are all these neo-Marxist or anarchist groups that are Antifa and the like.
Would you agree with me that the DOJ is run by Trump? By a Trump appointee.
Yes, it's his Department of Justice.
Would you agree with me that if there was an Antifa organization, they would be issuing search warrants, and they would at least make a couple arrests, and because of political powers or political capital, they would be marching these people in the media. Do the perp walk is what we call it as prosecutors.
Yeah, well, apparently, they're investigating this still.
But I don't know.
And they did.
Riots.
FBI investigated and said it's not. That's what Trump. That's what Biden did.
Yeah,
He quoted the FBI director that is Trump's FBI director.
I'm gonna have to see those reports because Bill Barr and others have said more recently that they want Antifa and some of these other left wing groups that are doing all the violence in Portland and Seattle and those places designated as domestic terror groups. I mean, that's another thing that the DOJ has talked about.
So is there an initiation to join there? Or what? How do you know who's a member?
And that's the thing. I don't know.
I don't think there's a building or a group where you say, let's go to our next meeting. It's an idea.
Yeah, but they have groups on Twitter. They have groups on social media where they interact and they talk and they plan things where they show up at the same places together.
Yeah, well, they do that. I do that with my friends too.
But the point is that
you're an Antifa.
No, but I call my friends. Let's go have coffee today. Let's do
throw some bombs out.
No, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm
just trying to clarify what you're doing.
I'm not anyway promoting any violence.
Okay.
Violence should be punished, and they should go to jail for it. But I don't know if you can say it's an organization when they don't have an organization.
Yeah,
they don't
I think it's clearly,
they don't do anything.
Antifa's clearly an organization, and along with other left-wing groups.
FBI disagrees.
Well, and I think that may just be wrong, or they may not have sufficient information about it. But
FBI director. Well, you can't say the FBI doesn't have sufficient information, and you do. You can't say that.
Then who is burning Portland to the ground? Who is doing that?
No, I'm not saying.
I mean, that's
here.
what.
Let me give you the quote.
It's different.
It's not the Proud Boys, by the way.
Let me go ahead and give you the quote, okay, or the site. FBI director says Antifa is an ideology, not an organization.
What's the date?
2020, September 17th. Christopher Wray testified in front of. You can Google it. AP News. And what I'm saying is, and that's FBI director. Was Chris Wray not appointed by Trump?
Yeah.
Is that not after Comey? But the whole point of the situation is that I don't believe there's an organization burning down. I do believe these are people who are being unemployed, who are sick of being broke, who are sick of being everything else, and they're using this opportunity to lash out. It is anger. They're burning stuff. I don't believe it's an organization. I don't think Black Lives Matter is organized. I think because I don't know what their goals are. Yeah. I think it's people just getting out there mad at the world because we have to understand the bigger cities are on more lockdown.
There are a lot of people angry.
Okay, no. Here, let's read. Here's the quote from Christopher Wray. He says, We look at Antifa as more of an ideology or a movement than an organization. To be clear, we do have quite a number of properly predicated domestic terrorism investigations into violent anarchist extremists, any number of whom self-identify with the Antifa movement. And that's part of this broader group of domestic violent extremists that I'm talking about, but it's just one part of it. We also have the racially motivated violent extremists, the militia types, and others. And then here's what he says. Here's the next part of it. Antifa is a real thing. It's not a group or an organization. It's a movement or an ideology, maybe one way of thinking of it. And we have quite a number, and I've said this consistently since my first time appearing before this committee. We have any number of properly predicated investigations into what we would describe as violent anarchist extremists. Some of those individuals identify with Antifa. I want to be clear that by describing it as an ideology or movement, I by no means mean to minimize the seriousness of the violence and criminality that is going on across this country, some of which is attributable to that people inspired by or who self-identify with that ideology.
And I agree.
That proves exactly what I just said.
I agree with everything you just said.
And it doesn't. It's just it proves it's not an organization.
There are individuals who have that theory or have that ideology who are going out and creating criminal acts. And I agree with everything you just said. The problem I have with what you said, Stephen, when you said leftists, it's everybody going out there. It's the white supremacists. It's the people saying Antifa.
Where
it's
are the white supremacists in this?
Virginia Proud Boys.
And it's just people who are angry with the government.
Proud Boys, even CNN says they're not white supremacists.
Okay, they can say they're not white supremacists, but the FBI and everybody.
But other than Kenosha, what's the other instance of white supremacists rioting and destroying?
Charleston, Virginia.
Charlottesville.
I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce. Yeah, Charlottesville.
They burned down buildings and destroyed Charlottesville. They got into a clash with leftists.
I understand that, and once again,
but they weren't burnt. They didn't burn the city.
They ran
to the
over
ground.
people. They ran over a protester.
But they got into a violent clash with other protesters. Okay,
I give you a more recent one. Trump sent his supporters down to Portland and had a fight.
I don't think Trump sent them.
He called them heroes.
He called them heroes, but just
are you talking about Patriot Prayer?
He called them heroes to go in there and start a fight.
But he's
one person died.
Controlling those people. I can't sit here and say they're not organized any more than Trump's organized.
Yeah, if that's the Patriot Prayer incident, I think that was in Seattle where that Trump supporter got killed. This was a motorcade, a sort of a vehicular parade, and then same thing. There were counter.
So why did they go through Portland and where the protesters are?
Oh, I think it was on purpose to say
that's my whole point.
It was to say that this leftist, these anarchists are not the only Americans.
Everybody
who
has a right to peaceful.
Who have the right to protest.
Everyone has a right to peaceful.
So they're driving through town. They didn't show up to start a fight. I don't think. With
so
Patriot
why would they
Prayer,
go through that area of town? They could have that protest anywhere they wanted to, or they can have whatever they want in a peaceful way. Anywhere they want to.
If you're going to
protest, do they have to cede? Do they have to cede that whole territory to what they view as violent leftist?
You know what? They knew the territory was dangerous, yet they knew there was going to be a conflict.
Well, we can question the wisdom of them doing that. I agree, but I don't think that. But I don't think Patriot Prayer. That's not a white supremacist group.
Okay. Can you admit that whatever the leftist group is doing is being matched by the right group, by the right groups?
Right now, no. What's happening in Portland and in Seattle and Minneapolis, that was. I don't want to give a percentage. That was the vast majority of that. Charlottesville happened 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. It's under this president.
Right now, as a result of this is a response to the police shootings. This is response to Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and the rest of those. This is leftist violence. These are leftist riots. That's what's happening right now.
Wait a minute. I think there are a lot of conservative people upset about it. So you can't really say it's a leftist thing. There are a lot of real conservative people.
The only clear instance we have of violence from the right is Kenosha.
I know, but what I'm telling you is that you can't make an extreme that they're doing this because of the shootings. There's plenty of people who would never go riot, who is very angry right at this point and won't change. And some of those went down there because they're angry. They're not a member of any group.
You know, the groups that, you know, the nightly attacks on the federal courthouse in Portland that were happening, I mean, there were 69. That was all left-wing. Those were all left-wing extremists.
Well, I don't know how you can throw them into one pot because you don't know who was down there. Do you know every person who did it, and they were a left-wing extremist? It may have been people who were Republicans that were very angry at the government, and they just went down there and got caught up in the moment. You can't just say it's one group.
Okay, I just don't believe that. Well, this is an interesting perspective on this. So you guys don't agree that I'm not talking about Charlottesville. I'm talking about right now, the recent spate of protests that have devolved into riots and looting. You don't agree that is predominantly left wing?
What
I think it's predominantly more
because I may have said
people,
all,
but it's not.
I may have said all, and that's
it's not.
Yeah, I don't know that it's
you look
all.
at the protests, and they're dominated by white protesters when the policemen shoot.
No, I disagree with that. To me, it starts with Black Lives Matter groups. And because of what you're saying, if you're asking me if you line people up, if I took the riot in whatever city, the first protest is going to be based on people anti-cop,
right,
and and Black Lives Matter,
right.
And I do believe people, and because they're unemployed, because the economy sucks, because they're angry. Let's say, and I'm picking these numbers, 80% of people down there just to be heard.
Sure.
You're going to have 20% or 10% of that group going down there with a violent attitude,
right,
with a violent intention. And then in my mind, you have the people bringing shields. And you have the people bringing bats.
Bringing bricks and
to
cinder
me,
blocks.
Everybody on the left who's bringing a bat or a shield is going to be matched by everybody on the right, because to me, those sociopaths or psychopaths, they just exist. And they're going down there either with their assault weapons, and you're like, it's like the kid up in was it Chicago, the kid that shot Milwaukee?
It's Kenosha.
Kenosha, yeah.
Yeah, the 17-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah, that was Kenosha. Yeah.
One, I own an assault weapon. I own a .223 with a 30-shot clip. There's no way in hell I'd ever walk down the center of the street with it. One, it's just not a good. The reason I have rifles is to hide behind something and shoot people a long way away,
right. Instead of brandish it openly and dare somebody. Right.
Now, whether that guy was attacked or not in Kenosha, whether he was a white supremacist, he's suing the Biden campaign.
There's no evidence that he was connected with white supremacy.
You're going down there holding a gun, saying, look what I can do. Or, it's the same thing. I would never even go down there knowing this. Now, Portland and Seattle, the attacks on the federal government, yes, they're going to be more left-wingists because they're attacking the federal government.
Right.
So, like I said, there's going to be the large majority, but then there's people going down there like, we're going to go crash. But, yes, what kills me is no one says we just need to stay together. Everybody needs to go home. I would have cleared out, and I've said this repeatedly, clear out Portland, clear out Seattle. I would have said, y'all have till 8 o'clock tomorrow, and then the tear gas is coming. But some of Portland was teachers. Some of Portland was mothers. But the problem is the governor and the mayor didn't want to. The mayor went down there and got hit in the head by him. The zone, what was it called?
Chop Chaz.
That zone. There were black people, being interviewed like, this is not a black neighborhood.
Yeah.
The black neighborhoods are down there to the left.
Yeah, and it was a young black man who got shot that led to the end.
But that's what I'm saying. It was a lot of white people who I would classify, maybe they're liberal in their thinking, but they're not violent normally, or maybe some of them are very conservative in their thinking, but they're very angry.
I just don't think that there's evidence that there's any kind of large, other than when you see those armed militia groups like Kenosha, there's no evidence that there's right-wing groups showing up with these BLM protests, infiltrating that, and then engaging in rioting and property destruction.
Okay, take Kenosha, the 17-year-old. I admit there's no relationship to an organization.
Right.
And to me, that's like the Antifa. How do you classify him? Do you classify him as a liberal or left wing?
I don't know what his political ideology is. I would classify him as right wing.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying.
And so that's why I'm granting Kenosha as the case where you saw right wing militia that show up, and that devolved into violence and people got killed. So I'll grant Kenosha. I'm saying, okay, that's one example.
Atlanta,
where are the rest?
Atlanta. Are you tell me there's no? And of course we're trying to Google this while we sing.
Yeah, this was not like we haven't done any of our topics. We were going to talk about medicinal marijuana and all that kind of stuff.
We've got another hour to go. But I mean, what I'm saying is, and of course, the first thing that shows up is CNN. I know you're going to discredit that. But to me, if you're looking for, you're going to have people just looking for fights. And these are reasons. Now, like I said, the general Portland, I can't sit there. Excuse me, why the TV has not been working, and it's now working while I'm talking. I love technology. With all that said, no, I mean, there's just not any groups either way. There's no organization here. You have small groups, but there's both represented on both sides.
Right.
Or it wouldn't be a conflict. Now, it could be a conflict against the police officers,
right.
But I believe now the police officers, especially in Portland and Seattle, there'd be no fighting because I think the officers would like it, take it. Now, I disagree with that,
yeah.
But I mean, I do believe the conflicts, so you get into the Proud Boys, you get into whatever groups they are, but I do not think Trump is organizing them. I mean, I think if Trump wanted to do something, he did something like the unnamed
stand
hooded,
down.
No, that's
stand
a
down.
No, stand by.
Stand by and stand down.
Stand down and stand by. That's a shout out. But I mean, here's what people don't understand. Trump is going to bring in federal agents. He's not going to believe that some guy's playing make-believe with a billy club and a 12 gauge. If he wants to bring in the heat, and I mean, let's be honest.
He did it. He did it in D.C. He dispersed
exactly.
the crowd
That's what
in
I'm
D.C.
saying. That's who he's bringing to the party.
Yeah, he definitely.
He's not bringing these amateurs. He did it when they were protecting the federal courthouse in Portland.
Yeah.
He's bringing in the professionals.
Right.
And you know, and there's some debates whether those guys were mercenaries or not because they contract workers. No, because as you know, federal agencies don't carry a lot of employees.
Right.
Because they don't have to defend the courthouse.
Right.
So I mean, were these guys?
Well, they brought in Border Patrol guys and some other from other agencies.
Or you know, I can see them. Yes, you know, hey, who wants to go to Portland?
Right.
And you know, and they would take.
Yeah, but they're still federal employees.
Yes. No.
You know.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, then you get into
and they're deputized and all the rest of that.
Yes.
You know.
And that's the normal course of business.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. He's not ordering the Proud Boys to go over there. Now he's doing it as a shout out.
But look, I got to push back on that because they asked him to clarify that the next day, and he said very clearly, he said, I don't really know much about the Proud Boys, but no, I condemn whatever I can. He has said so many times that he condemns white supremacy.
He didn't say it at the debate.
He wouldn't say it.
He didn't
and
say it.
He
did. He said, sure. Of course, will you condemn white supremacy? He's like, sure.
And then he said, give me a name. And then he said, stand down, but stand by. And what I'm saying, any other president would have said, I condemn white supremacy, period.
What he should what he should have said, I'm against all discrimination.
And that's exactly what he said the next day.
No. But what I'm saying is, Stephen, you give this guy so much slack. If any other president said, hey, we have a group that you've never heard of, but he did the same thing with the KKK.
Well, what if he said, I don't know who the Proud Boys are, I never heard of them.
And if his next statement was, I condemn all white supremacists, period.
How many times Biden was saying, say it. Say it.
Which is why which is probably why he didn't. So you tell me.
But what I'm saying is, you can't keep on giving this guy a pass because he did the same thing.
How
with
many
the KKK.
times does he have to? How many times does he have to condemn the same group?
Are you telling me he said stand by accident? Are you telling me?
I don't think he meant stand by until I tell you to do something.
So what did he mean?
When you said, "Well, we will not stand idly by,"
that's not what he said.
No. But what I'm saying is this is what kills me about
stand down
and stand by. Okay,
that's him telling them don't do anything.
But what I'm saying is Trump.
And then the next day he said, "Let the law enforcement do their job. Y'all don't do anything. I don't know who you are, but I don't want you to do anything."
But once again, like I sat here just a few minutes ago and say, Bill Clinton should be held up to the same standards that Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
You cannot recognize the sins that the president makes. Tell me the sins or the wrongs that Donald Trump has made.
Well, there's lots of
them. Give me five.
Well, probably 5 of the last 6 tweets were probably wrong.
Don't qualify them with, and this is what kills me. But like with the debate, well, let me change here. Who won the debate?
Oh, Biden killed him, and it's proven in the polls. I mean, he lost 5 points after the debate.
And my whole point
Trump lost 5 points.
My whole point about the debate is the man, now while both were talking over, the man went in there with an agenda to shake Biden up. and he could
and it
not,
didn't work.
And it did not work,
Yeah,
but he could
it
not
didn't
go
work.
by the own rules that his party established, which I truly thought hurt him.
Yeah.
I think Trump is more charismatic. I think if Trump would have waited when Biden went 1 and he went 3 and Trump slid around, that was his best moment. I thought Trump was better on law and order.
Yeah.
I thought Trump was better. If he would have waited for his moment, but the problem is with everybody makes exceptions for Trump. Well, he didn't mean stand by. Well, the rules didn't
Oh my
apply to
gosh,
me.
Brent! If people don't let Biden off the hook for stupid things he says.
Oh, he gets
Kamala
attacked about
Harris,
it.
his own VP, destroyed him in a debate. And I mean, what I'm saying is Biden is now.
He gets let off the hook all the time.
Really?
How?
Well, like when he said, look, poor kids are just as capable as white kids, or some such. I mean, he has made.
What's wrong with that?
He's made because it's racist.
But
Because
no,
he was
poor is a financial
condition. He
condition.
said poor kids and black kids are just as good or can do just as well
Well,
as
we
the
get
white
to it.
kids.
In 1994, a friend of mine, Yumi Kings, he always hates this. He called black kids super predators. And he'll tell me, and he made statements, my kids won't, in the 70s or 80s, my kids won't go to school with them. He cannot stand Biden. But what I'm saying, he's not getting let off from that. But what I'm saying is, here's my problem. The parties are never going to admit that their candidates are 100% wrong because it hurts themselves. I understand that. We just had a president, and I went back and Googled some of these debates. We just had a presidential debate where a person who agreed to a 2-minute answer didn't go 5 seconds over, didn't argue with them on one point, got to a point where they're going to impose cutting off mics like a child. And my whole thing is, you lose the debate. If he was arguing with me in court, this is what you can tell they're not lawyers.
Right.
The reason Mr. Schwartz keeps on interrupting me is because he doesn't have an answer. And he can keep on interrupting me, but that means I'm right.
Yes, I do.
Exactly. And then you just look at it, and once again, he knows I'm right on this. But until we can have, because it's not, Trump has done the same thing with Clinton has. And I've said that ad nauseum. But this whole thing like, well, he almost walks on water, and you have not gone that far.
I don't think that.
But it was some of his supporters do.
Yeah.
But I've never heard a Democrat
there's two
say,
kinds of TDS, right? There's Trump derangement syndrome, people who hate him no matter what, and then there's Trump devotion
that's
syndrome.
a good point. It is.
There's two sides to that coin.
There is.
I'm on neither side of that.
But what I'm saying is the Democrats aren't in love with Biden. Biden.
Yeah, but they maybe not. But they run interference for him.
Totally,
for him saying dumb stuff. Just like Republicans do for
totally.
Trump.
But what I'm saying is, if Biden had half of what Trump did, now, like I said, is there a Democrat that does? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, and everybody told me who was not voting against Hillary Clinton, we don't know what the scandal is, but we know there's going to be a scandal.
Coming, yeah.
And it was the server. And we all know, and we've been over this ad nauseum, the server was sitting there, but it's just, do not use your private email. Okay, I'm going to, whether someone uses a Gmail or Yahoo account in 2020 and you're an elected official, that's a whole different, I know people are using cell phones. But the whole problem is, she knew not to use a server and then to clean it. Right. She should have called in the Secretary of State or someone at the federal government. I got this. What do you want me to do with it? I'd like to wipe it. It's got a lot of my personal stuff, but I want some. And she's a lawyer.
Right.
The problem is with all that is this.
She looks guilty.
Yeah, well, she is guilty. You're not destroying evidence by not being guilty.
No. Do I think she'd be prosecuted? Absolutely.
Totally. But that's what I'm saying. But Trump, if you got two people who are voting Democrat saying that, and we're asking you, yes, I have no problem saying there are people calling themselves Antifa, but there's no it's not the mafia.
But still,
it's not vice lords.
But but Biden would not call out that left wing violence either. I mean, he was asked about that directly.
He said he was against violence.
He said no violence, but he wouldn't call out the groups any more than Trump would.
Because it's not a group.
Trump at least mentioned the group.
But that's a perfect point. But here's my counter to you. He didn't say stand by. And you can always tell me the terminology, or you can always tell me, just like, well, what about the bleach? What about the bleach? You can put the bleach, and after the fact, well, I was joking. No, you weren't. You were riffing. You were wrong. We all do it. I was calling Charlottesville Charlotte or whatever a few minutes ago.
Yeah, right.
It happens on live air, but the whole point is he can never stand up and say, I was wrong here. And his followers, that 35%, do not believe in him when he can't name Corinthians or whatever this, that. Now, there's some people who are just voting for him for economic reasons, and I'm fine with that. My parents were some of that.
Right.
But this blind, this is all the Democrats' fault, or this is all this fault. No, we're all sinners. And that's why I'm saying this blind faith for him. Just say, look, he's the best thing we got right now. We're going to give him these exceptions. And my problem is this. So when you commit a crime or you commit a sin, just let me know the rules because I'm coming. I'm fine losing my hand if I steal, but when your son or you steal, I'm taking a hand.
Yeah.
And right now, people give him such a pass. But here's the thing. We got to wrap up. We're way past time. It's over an hour. We're going to take a break and come back after this. We are back. Brent Hazard, Richard Schwartz, and Stephen Nixon. Stephen, where do people get hold of you if they want to hire you from some real estate closings?
Oh, sure. I'm at 601-925-4700.
And Richie, if people haven't seen your ads because they've cut the cable and they're free of you, how do they get hold of you?
601-9 and all 8s.
You want to go ahead and hit us one time with it?
One call, that's all.
How many times? Is that not, have you ever thought that's aged out?
Yeah, I've aged out too.
Okay.
I think it's
but it comes
timeless to me. I mean, it's just like,
I would like to see him transition more to Richard Schwartz. I think he's more of an icon.
So how do they get in touch with you?
601-977-5253. You can see who's got my best interest at Hazard Law. Stephen doesn't care.
what?
That's okay.
I was going to say that.
I know you were.
Richie beat me to the punch.
I know, I just beat him.
But anyway, this is the Richie and Hazz Show. We're back, and we're talking trash. And of course, we're giving out cash. Best comment on this show when you per week can win you $250. We've already had one winner, so please remember that. But moving on to topic number. Did we get past 2?
I think we said all that we could say.
Yeah, I think
No, but I say we're on topic number 2. Medical marijuana is going to be on the ballot. Richie, does it pass or not?
Absolutely going to pass. Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No,
there's no question it's going to
pass.
pass.
The ballot is too confusing. It doesn't even say medical marijuana.
It's definitely going to pass. And in the history, a little bit about 65A.
65, proposition.
Is there was a very
65A.
wealthy Arkansas person who owns marijuana dispensaries on the Mississippi border in Arkansas. He put up a bunch of money to try to dilute 65 and create 65A by the legislature and give the power to the legislature, who hasn't even come up with the plan.
Stop there, okay? 65 says, Stephen, you know this a little bit better than I do. What does 65 say, sir?
Yeah, so
you have to have chronic pain.
Yeah, we pulled this up. It says debilitating, so it would allow qualified patients with debilitating medical conditions as certified by a licensed physician to use medical marijuana.
And it doesn't include stress. It doesn't include those at all, or
right.
not
So
included.
this is like cancer patients,
What
terminal.
about
terminally
you would
ill?
take a drug for like Oxycontin?
Well, that's stupid.
But it says
Why is that
debilitating medical conditions.
Well, I mean, to me, anxiety.
Anxiety is not included.
Anxiety should be included.
But it does say, notably, 65, in contrast to 65A, 65 is just monitored or enforced by doctors and Department of Health.
That's right. And
not the
legislature's 100% out of
But
it.
65A
Is
gives
the attempt by the
gives the
legislature.
decision to the legislature to create a program,
Which they haven't created.
which they have they would do later.
They're never going to create. Well, my
never.
problem with the whole situation is that they diluted it where if you read the ballot, it says yes or no on 65.
Yeah.
And then it goes yes or no on 65 or 65A, correct?
Well, it gives you, the choice is yes to either 65 or 65A or against both.
Yes. And to me,
And that's your first step. And then from there, if you select yes to one or the other, then you say 65
So
or 65A.
I think medical marijuana is going to pass in the state of Mississippi.
I kind of think it is too.
There's no question in my mind. It's be 70% probably yes.
but the problem with that is, what is the percentage they have to have? 51%?
51%.
I think it's just a majority.
Yeah.
Well, the last time they lost, so I'm assuming, what was that, 8 years ago? Was it 4 years ago it lost? It's lost before.
Yeah.
So you're going to have about 50% vote no. And in my mind, you're going
Times have changed. I think people understand that I'm not a user of marijuana, but they understand that, yeah, positive. I probably need to. But
Have you ever smoked it? I've never smoked
No.
it. Have you ever smoked it?
Yes.
Okay.
In college.
I had asthma growing up. I'm not.
And,
I
and
have
that
smokers.
personal experience informs a little bit of my opinion about it because, in my opinion, it's like a lot of these other. It is a powerful drug. It can be subject to abuse, but
So can any drug.
but so can anything. So can alcohol.
Yeah,
so can
so
nicotine.
can Oxycontin and all these.
You know.
Would Richard Schwartz use? Well, there's not a.
If I had
Mechanism.
pain and marijuana resolves that
Yeah.
pain, I don't have
or
to smoke
Parkinson's, like you've seen
and I
guys
can
with
eat
Parkinson's
it.
who stop
I would
shaking.
do that all day long.
Yeah.
I would do it all day long. It's
So you would
medically
get goofier.
necessary, huh?
You would get goofier.
I don't know.
Can we get you?
I
To
may
sign
be
a docu-
cooler.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Start listening to the
Yeah, sorry.
Grateful Dead records
honey,
and stuff.
yeah, man, honey's great.
Imagine the commercials. But no, Stephen, does it pass or not?
I think it's going to pass because now this is all what they call anecdata. So this is just my opinion based on people I know. Look, even the
I'm glad you defined that for us.
oh, thanks,
I
yeah,
appreciate that.
The
We're idiots.
well, now see, I kind of just lost my train of thought.
That's
Like
what I was
everybody
doing.
I know,
like Trump was doing Biden, but that's okay.
so pretty much everybody I know, except for my wife, she's going to vote against it, I think. But
Wow,
people in my generation, like I'm looking at it going, well, medicinal, of course. I mean, I can't say that there's not a condition or someone who's in pain or discomfort that this might not help.
Cancer. When you're in pain for cancer.
And that's right. If you're terminally ill, I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen to them?
I mean,
Okay,
it's a little
come
less
on.
pain.
You know what I mean?
Personal use, yes or no? Would you legalize it?
For personal
Just
use. Yes,
personal
the answer is yes. I
Stephen?
would.
And I probably would too.
Oh, I definitely.
I would want it to be regulated.
Sure.
Make sure keep
Taxed
it
and
keep it out of
regulated.
the hands of kids because I think it really has
Cigarettes,
a
same
profound
thing.
impact on your the
because
development
that's
of your
going to
brain.
happen. Like
But-
alcohol never gets to minors.
Well,
No cigarette.
I think if it's properly regulated, there could be some even non-medicinal use
Oh,
allowed.
What
allowed.
drug do you draw the line? That should be illegal.
Well, I think marijuana
where it stops.
Stop.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything that has addictive properties like
opioids,
cocaine, the amphetamines, all of that.
And I don't think marijuana's addictive. A lot of people think it is, but there's a lot of people walking the street who still smoke every once in a while.
No, there's been some people who have lost jobs, like NFL players, NBA players, because they could not stop smoking. And under the definition of addiction, I do believe that.
But I don't think that's very common.
Yeah, and I
no, I don't think it's common, and
Yeah.
I would still legalize it.
And it
But
may
there
be
are some
people just with addictive personalities and
Yeah.
who are just
Well, I think they're
susceptible to that.
self-medicating.
Yeah, they're self-medicating.
Well, what's the
Maybe
worst
it's
guy
already-
on marijuana? What's he going to do? Hey.
Oh, you can drive. You can.
He's not going to go out there and commit any violence.
I
or
mean, you
anything.
could. I mean, it would help your business. You can drive while under influence.
No, you can't. That's illegal.
I understand that, but they do it. And what I'm saying is
They
that
do it now.
Yeah, but it's still
that's my
DUI. I
point.
mean, there's
And what I'm
drug
saying
drug
is
DUI.
You can hurt someone that way. Is my point. There's some negative effects. I
But
would
they do
still.
it now.
I said I would still legalize it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm to a point now. We can't keep drugs out of our jails. or
That's a good
prisons.
point.
Right.
So
That's
I
a good
mean, I
point.
would legalize. I just. It is not the government's place to tell you what. And this is a son of an alcoholic. It's not the government's place to tell you what to take.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, it's the government's place to tell you the consequences of what you take and your actions under that.
Right.
But it's not. You can get heroin if you want it. I don't care because I don't do drugs because it's illegal. I don't
Right.
do drugs because I've seen what addiction does.
because those hard
and I make a
drugs,
personal
they
choice.
ruin your life.
Yes.
They kill you. Yeah.
It's not going to be long before the federal government's going to nationalize the ability for marijuana. Because you think about this. The banks are losing money because you can't deposit the money in the bank. The credit card companies are losing money, millions and millions of dollars that they want.
Yeah, it's a big industry now, and that's what complicates it even more now is before states started legalizing the recreational use, one of the barriers to more widespread use was always that you had to involve yourself with a little bit of a criminal element. You had to go to a drug dealer
That's
to
right.
get it.
Good point.
Well, now there are legal sources that are not that far away from us where you can go get it.
Yeah.
And you don't ever have to come into someone who's breaking the laws where you're getting it. Now, you got to break the law to cross state lines and all of that, but now there's this influx of legally grown, legally produced marijuana in the United States.
Yeah, but
it's harder than ever to enforce.
Let me tell you about 65A. Only a licensed Mississippi doctor can give you a prescription.
Right.
Only a Mississippi resident can own the fields, the production, and anything concerning the marijuana.
Right.
So all this is a boom for Mississippi, obviously, and so to me, it's 65, not 65A, because 65A would be controlled by the legislature, and they hadn't come up with a plan. But 65 clearly says you have to live in Mississippi. You have to do everything here in Mississippi. You can't go to Las Vegas and get drugs and sell them in Mississippi.
And come back, right.
So it's going to increase the possibility of new jobs, more taxes.
New jobs.
Absolutely. You're going to have people in manufacturing marijuana in all these plants.
How many drug users do you know?
It's not drug users. It's
Technically,
a
if
medication.
you're using marijuana, you're using drugs.
Yeah, but if it's under the direction of a
it's
doctor,
a
I didn't say it was.
medication.
But
we're
still,
talking about medical marijuana.
It's still, whether you use pills or not, that's a drug. What I'm saying is, I don't want to be. You're talking about millions of people getting jobs and all this. I don't think.
I didn't say millions,
Yeah,
but
you
it's
just
going to be
said
a lot of
lots.
people.
How many?
I would say it would be in the tens of thousands of high-paying jobs.
No, I think the same pharmacies and the same doctors would be there. I mean, it might help.
Wait a minute. You got to grow it here. You got to produce it here. You got to dispense it here. Okay? And there's no limit to dispensaries. You can have a million dispensaries.
You can't have a million dispensaries because then you wouldn't have one. You got to regulate it. It's like saying
there is the law says
You're gonna
in
have to get a
65
license.
that there is no limit.
But you're telling me the Department of Health won't be able to approve a set of number of license? Like
No, they can't. They
well,
can't.
there's got to be a limitation.
They cannot.
Like the insurance companies. Insurance companies approve how many therapists they are.
It's not the case. It's unlimited
That's not
license.
the government. What I'm saying is there's got to be a weeding out, or you wouldn't have a profitable business model. Whether it's
No, they may have
supply
some
and
financial
demand.
requirements.
Yes,
that's
what I'm
very
saying.
possible.
What I'm saying is there's got to be something, or you're going to have a lot of crappy.
I mean, there may be financial requests.
A background check,
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't have Bubba sitting there
but
slinging
they
it
could
from
give
the truck.
as many as they want.
Okay,
license.
but what I'm saying is I'm not going to use it. Now I get migraines.
No. What if you medically needed it?
That's what I'm saying. I get migraines.
Yeah.
And I have a cocktail where I'm on Imitrex. When they set in, I haven't had one set in about a year. But when I get on Imitrex, when I get on hydrocodone, and I get into a non-nauseating vomiting thing, I mean, it can shut me down and put me in the
Well, would
ER.
you try it if
it somewhat helped? But what I'm saying is, people always talking about opioids and stuff. I hate taking that stuff. I can't
no
stand
question.
being medicated.
But again, you're taking stuff that's really bad for you already.
I mean, I'm dealing with it in a better way. I go work out. I get massages.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, and I'm not. If people need that stuff, we've obviously in our industry, in our profession, we meet people who've been in car wrecks.
Oh,
and crushed.
absolutely, and need it all the time,
Yeah.
and addicted to OxyContin and those type of drugs because they have chronic pain.
Correct.
And that's what 65 is for.
And I just don't believe it's going to pass because of the pharmaceutical lobby.
Well, and you've got to just looking at the stuff on the Secretary of State's website. They have it's really helpful. It's a brief thing you can read. Mississippi State Board of Health officially opposes 65. And they have some reasons stated there. So so there's going to be some lobby, I think, against it.
Of course.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
Have versus
against
have-nots.
65. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, the whole point of marijuana being illegal is because the guy did not want. He started all these myths because he sold hemp, and it's California. But the guy, it was a money making factor to make it illegal in the 30s, and he wanted to control the market. And so I mean, all this is about money.
Yeah.
It's just have versus have-nots, no matter what we do. Now,
it's really, to my opinion, you want the legislature to control it and make the rules that don't even exist now, or do you want the rules that are already established for people with chronic pain?
Yeah.
And it's not even a thinking situation anymore. Either if you're against it, you can vote for 65A because there's no guarantee there'll ever be rules.
Yeah, and that's the contra on 65A from the ones who wrote the pro for 65. They said in some states where they've done this and kicked it to the legislature, they still don't have a program.
That's
passed.
exactly right.
So that's essentially a way for the legislature to take it and then never pass a program.
Yeah.
But I think even there though, I mean, 65A I think would not be the end of the world because then that's what the political process is for. We can, if you want them to make the program, then let your representatives know if 65A passes.
Moving on to topic 3, I'm throwing a curveball. Richie, what are you streaming or watching now? What series?
Show? I can't. Nothing right now.
Nothing.
Nothing.
So what, you watching sports and that's it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Steven, what are you streaming or watching now?
I'm watching The Boys on Amazon. I love that show.
Season 2. What do you give season 2? I've been
I have seen that. I'll take that back.
Yeah.
Season 2. It's very short. Season 2.
No.
They're releasing them every Friday.
Is that right?
Friday.
Okay.
You're probably behind.
It's a very, very strange movie show.
Man, I love it though. Not for kids, but I love
It's a very strange
It's
show.
a rate for those who have not seen The Boys. It's like if you took the modern, they have a Superman character, one woman character. What would happen if that really happened today? It shows them being egotistical.
Yeah, if
murderers.
superheroes were just bad
human people.
We're human beings with flaws and greed and all the rest.
Yeah, I
what
wouldn't
would
say they
be
were
like?
bad.
They're just like normal people.
unregulated.
They're flawed
Yes,
people. And,
yes.
Well, if you're the strongest man in the whole world and you can't die,
yeah, what would you do? I mean,
yeah,
and,
hey, I don't want you to do that. Tough.
Yeah, tough. But
at some point, you're not going around burning ants. You might kill a couple people, but after a while, you're just like, dude, I'm out of here. I'm not even going to address you. But The Boys, anything else?
Yeah, watching The Boys. I've also I've been watching this show my kids loved. We watch a lot of anime in my house, so I'm watching One Piece, which is a really famous.
Netflix?
Yeah, on Netflix, and One Piece is one of these that's been running for years. There's like 1,100 episodes.
Yes.
So I've just started that, and then I was also watching. I like weird stuff. The Boys is a little bizarre.
You can't tell.
But I love. I've been watching Tales from the Loop, which is
What is that?
Electric Dreams, both on Amazon. These are these bizarre sci-fi shows that you get to the end of sometimes, and you're like, "What was that?"
Oh, my favorite show growing up was The Outer Limits, and you can get those on TV now.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen The Outer Limits? You're probably
I don't think
too young.
I have.
Oh my God!
They made a remake in the 90s.
Yeah, but the old ones are the
black
best.
and white.
Yeah,
It's kinda like
they're the
Twilight
best.
Zone.
Go watch some Outer Limits.
Okay, I'll check that out because
I'll
I
tell you
love weird sci-fi
It is,
stuff.
it is.
And that's what Tales from the Loop is, and Electric Dreams is just weird.
You'll like Outer Limits.
But I
You
like
need
it.
to watch on Netflix Black Mirror.
Oh yeah, no, that's
British.
one I haven't watched.
hadn't heard
I
of
was
that.
going to watch
It
that.
is a modern day Outer Limits.
Is it?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. The first episode, without giving anything away, they kidnap the princess of England, and they tell the prime minister, "We're going to execute her unless you're on video filming having sex with a pig." And it gets into it. Truly, it addresses it like it's a modern day problem, and they're like, "We'll know if it's fake. It has to be live." And they're tracking polls, and they're like, "You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that." And it goes back to, they're tracking it like you've got. And at one point, they're like, "You've got to do it."
I know a lot of girls that could qualify.
Wow!
Yeah, let's
Brent Hazard.
edit that out.
Brent Hazard is sitting here saying that was offensive, and I do not recognize that.
But they still have good taste. They wouldn't have anything to do with me.
Okay, whatever. But anyway, it was it really takes you to it, and you don't know till the end, are you going to do it or you're not, because they get into it. Well, if I do it, am I ever going to be elected again? And it gets into one episode, and these are standalone episodes. Now, I do not like it. I watched it because I don't like the things where you're like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
I like an ending. I like a conclusion, because ambiguity is what I do for a living.
Right.
But
Right.
with all that, there's a Black Mirror goes, if I create a video game and go in there and create this online world, and I'm raping online characters and killing online characters, what social issue? When do the online characters become alive?
Yeah, spill over into
Yeah,
real life.
and when am I committing a crime to an online character that becomes a being, AI? And you get into those questions, but it's interesting. It's very, and they've spun off on movies and stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm watching I just got through with Lucifer, which is, I didn't like it at first. It's a Fox series that got canceled. It's What If the Devil Came to the World Today. Very well done.
Would he be a lawyer?
He was a bar owner.
Oh, okay.
Sings, actually. He actually becomes a cop. Or
I say that because there was that
What
movie.
happened to The Messiah? That was a great series.
No,
that
so
was a great
stupid.
series.
I
Never,
didn't see that.
They never did finish.
It was a
any of
guy where you didn't know he came back, whether he was Jesus or not.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
great.
okay.
It was great.
You said that because you don't believe in Jesus. It's
No,
fine.
it was
There's some
great.
sacrilegious there, man. I'm not
That
gonna,
show's not sacrilegious. It's a great show.
questioning whether a guy is Jesus or not. I saw how they promoted it. It was a little Yeah, I understand
No,
coming
no.
from your background, you
Well, what
wouldn't
about
notice
Lucifer?
that with no offense.
I mean, was Lucifer kind of?
No, I mean they kind of
Did it glorify the devil?
No,
or-
they kind of stick to it. His whole. You've heard this premise before that it was a job. I had to go punish people, and I've seen this done in several movies or cinema, or TV shows or cinema. Hey, man, he didn't give me a choice, and of course it recognized the independent uprising.
Okay.
And a lot of church groups like it because it just goes to show you he's trying to find his soul. He's trying to reform. And it's actually a love story. And you think it'd be sappy. I didn't like it.
Right.
I walk away from shows and then I come back and be like, let me try it again. Now, I tell you what, I've been streaming this week, and a couple episodes are on, and Schitt's Creek.
I love that show. I love
Okay.
that.
Have you seen that?
I
No,
love
I haven't.
that.
Is it good?
That is
Yeah.
funny. That is a funny show.
It's Levy, Eugene Levy.
Yeah, Eugene Levy is
and then his
great-
son,
great
Dan
comic-
Levy.
great
See,
comic
I wouldn't
actor.
put him in great, but he's a legend. He's
He was in
SCTV.
he was in Spinal Tap and Best in
SCTV,
Show and all.
yes.
He's great.
Well, he's got Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah.
I can't say anything after an hour and a half. Catherine O'Hara is his wife, who's in everything he's in.
Yep.
And then he's got his son, who's gay, who's in it, who's great. And they lose everything, and they have to move to a town called Schitt's Creek.
Right.
He bought it as a joke.
Yeah.
He was very wealthy, and the IRS closed him down. But the only thing they left him
With some
with
property
was Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Schitt's Creek.
He owned the whole
Yeah.
city. He owned the whole city.
But see, the first 6 episodes is, I'm broke, and I hate that. But then it develops into interracial relationships, interpersonal relationships between families.
Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara is her name.
Okay.
But with that said, it was very well done. And then once it gets into the relationships,
Right.
it really, it got me.
It's funny.
But yeah, but there's some stick in there. I don't like stick.
What the one that was really good was the lady that played on what's that family? What's that one with?
Oh, you sound like me.
Oh gosh, what's the name of the show? But you saw it, Dead to Me or something. Isn't that it?
Yeah,
Dead
to Me.
That was really good.
Christina Applegate.
Christina Applegate, yeah.
That was really
the
good.
The first season, she should have won an Emmy.
Yeah.
It's about someone,
It was
a
good.
drunk driver kills this woman.
Oh, and it turns out it's her best friend.
Whoa,
and she
gosh,
doesn't realize.
Oh!
man, you can't blurt that out. You can't.
I didn't even know that was the storyline. I
Man,
just
you
guessed.
just guess. Yeah, okay. You can't say Darth Vader's Luke's father, dude. I mean, this is 2020. You can't say that. But it starts off, she's in a group, a sympathy group, and they're like, the positive, grieving group or counseling.
Sympathy.
Yes, and
Sympathy.
grieving group.
Yeah.
Or counseling group. And everybody's like, yeah, you got to be positive. She looks at someone and goes, F you. And I'm like, you got me with that.
Yeah.
But she does a great job.
She
But
does.
yes, season 2 gets a little weak. But I watched it. Right now, I was watching a little Van Helsing, which has turned into such crap. It was a sci-fi show.
I watched a couple episodes. It was too gory and
Cheesy.
weird. I mean, it
Too
wasn't.
I haven't seen that. I saw the movie, but I hadn't seen
It's
it.
the first
the first season was okay, but then it just went into when they make vampires, it's just gross, right? They just make them into these disgusting, weird monsters. I don't like.
They took vampire as their Walking Dead zombie.
Right.
So they were
okay.
making it sci-fi's B answer, B movie answer to Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And the first 2 seasons got me because you're like, look, it's basically us doing this podcast,
Right.
doing the best we can. And I like the premise. They throw some mechanisms in there where people can they turn back? Can they not turn back? And I was like, okay. Then it just goes goofy. And, and then, okay, let me ask you this. Steven, do you walk away from a series or not?
Yes.
Okay, how many episodes in is it 3 years in and it gets crappy? Do you walk away?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I
I know this answer. Do you walk away or not?
Well, yeah, I would.
You're 5 years invested in a show. Season 6 sucks.
I would.
See,
Yeah, 5 years invested. If I'm 2 seasons,
You
in
want to see
and
the
season-
end, what
in-
happened?
Yeah.
in
season
season? Yeah,
three sucks.
I that much time. I probably
Sons of
would.
Anarchy got to be crap. And I loved it at the beginning. And I was sitting there like, I cannot watch another episode, but I've got to finish it.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of these, that's why I can't stand about Netflix. To me, Netflix is a modern day TNT.
Right.
It's C+. And, you're just sitting there like, I got to figure out. Sometimes I just Wikipedia. Do you leave movies?
Sometimes I
You
will
know the
usually,
answer on that.
I will usually stick through to the end of a movie, but it's got to be really bad for me to not at least stick through to the end.
There's no good SOB right here. I've been with movies I've paid for us to go, and I'll go, this is horrible, Schwartz. Let's go. But you paid.
Let's wait till
And I was like, yes, but I can get my money back, or I can go eat some ice cream. And I hate to say it, American Klansmen that won all these awards.
It's horrible.
We could not stand. The problem is,
and it's a true story, which
Yeah.
could have been done a lot better than the way
they
it was
sent
done.
a Jewish guy to infiltrate the Klan.
But that's a true story.
Is that it? But I've been like, no, we're done.
that's based on a true story.
And I would have ended that. Hey, y'all can fire me. They're not going to sacrifice me for the movement. But I turned to him. I said, "Let's go." And he was like, "No, well, we paid." I said, "I paid. I'm not. Let's go." No. And we watched that But there's been several. I turned to you. That Spielberg one with the giant.
I thought it was good.
God, I turned to him. I said, "Let's go." And he goes, "This is a great movie."
It is a
Which
great
one was
movie.
this?
The cartoon with the giant.
BG, something, the great
Oh,
BG.
yeah.
I liked it. I
You
liked it.
God, I went, he'll see me. I'll be out in the aisle texting or walking. Hey, what are you doing? Can you come
Thank
pick me up, please?
goodness, movies are coming out again.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not coming out.
Oh, huh?
Which one's coming out?
They got new movies coming out. They're talking about them now.
They've all been
Oh, yeah. Well,
postponed.
the new Dune is coming
But
out.
it's
That's
all
on the
next
sci-fi
year. That's next year.
Oh, is it really?
yeah, they're
Okay.
not releasing any this year.
Well, at least they're making
No,
new
they're
movies.
supposed to be releasing some superhero movies this year. I mean, I saw it where they're. I don't know the
Okay.
date.
I mean, no. Would y'all go to a movie?
And
theater
another
right
one.
now?
And another one
I
is.
would.
What's
Have you been?
what's the Abertron? What's it?
Avatar?
Avatar. New Avatar.
No, they're not dropping it now. They're waiting on that one. They've just opened Avatar Land. They're going to wait on that one.
We'll see.
But hopefully moving back. But topic number 4, we're running out of time. Melvin Priester Jr. just resigned from city council. He got elected in 2013.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Mr. Nixon?
Yeah, obviously your first thought when you hear a story like that is, well, why? What's going on? Because he's a super nice guy. His family is great. I love his mom, his dad.
Well, his mom is
His mom is a very well respected attorney,
prominent Chancery Court attorney.
Chancery lawyer, and so I've
Dad was county court
Dad
judge,
was
a county
court
city
judge,
court
That's
judge,
right.
and prominent healthcare attorney.
Yeah, and his dad recently, for health reasons, had to retire early. But
Had a serious stroke,
yeah,
which was a tragedy.
yeah. I think he had some health issues for a while, but that different issue there. But and then Melvin Priester Jr. is kind of this rising star, I think, politically in a lot of ways. And
That's the question.
Why did he resign? I don't know. He's a super nice guy. I don't know him that well, but I've had a few interactions, and he's very nice.
Take him for his
Personally.
word. Take him for his word. He said he's leaving to concentrate on his law
On
practice.
his law practice. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Whoa,
why would it be any different than that?
that? Because he's a politician.
Look, you can get sick of being on a city council and arguing with people for a long time.
Yeah, but that seems like a tough
he
job.
running for
Jackson City
mayor?
Council.
Huh?
Is he running for mayor?
No.
Oh, I think he is.
No.
You think so?
I think he's either running for mayor or he's
No.
going to run for his dad's judgeship.
No, that's possible. That's possible.
that-
But he wouldn't have to resign to do that.
I understand that.
So
but,
there's no need for him to resign
but
to do that.
To start campaigning or start making statements, I think he recognizes either way, as if you're going to start campaigning as a judge, you're going to be criticized for doing 2 jobs at once. Or right now, Mayor Lumumba, does he? Well, should I ask the non-citizen resident? Because let's start with you, citizen.
So do y'all live in the city of Jackson?
we
I do.
Both of y'all
Yeah.
do?
Yeah,
Okay.
So
yeah.
what's your question?
Lumumba, the mayor, does he get reelected?
No.
Okay. Right now, what candidates would they haven't announced? I don't know anybody.
I think they've been in a search committee for it. I'm hoping that what's his name? Who's speaker of the
president of the city
Yeah,
council.
I hope
Aaron
he runs.
Banks.
Aaron Banks.
Aaron Banks.
That's who I want to run. He's a really respectable guy, really
I
knowledgeable.
met him the other day, and he I never had any interaction with him. He was I just had no opinion, but he would made a great impression.
He is a smart guy, and I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but he needs to.
Now, do we know is Mayor Lumumba running again? Is that for
he's
sure?
running. He's definitely running.
He's putting the word out. He's going to be our Mississippi's first black governor.
Okay.
I like the ambition. Everybody thought he would be grooming
He's
for
a
Benny's
great
spot.
speaker.
He's a very good
speaker. Oh, my
speaker.
gosh. He's so.
Oh, yeah.
He's
a
just
young guy. He's
smooth
very
man.
personable and all of that.
We're about to break the highest murder rate in the history of Jackson.
Yep.
We're about to blow it away.
I just don't think the issues are going to get him. He's going to lose because of the issue.
Because of the issues.
What
that.
issues?
Streets, crime.
The water system still kind of a mess.
Everything's against him. I just don't see any way he gets reelected.
But
if
in
there's a
fairness-
viable candidate running,
In fairness, that's a really tough job. The mayor of Jackson.
there's no money.
Super,
the city
super
doesn't have
hard
any
job.
money.
But you've got to admit that, and I believe half his problem is he hasn't admitted, okay, this is what we've got. We've got a pair of threes. And he's acting like with the zoo. Should the zoo be moved?
Well, I mean, I just read in preparation for this that they just got a lifetime license for this to have a zoo in the city of Jackson. I think they need to keep the zoo, but they got to come up with a new location.
No, what I'm talking, that's what I'm talking about. Moving it to Lakeland,
like maybe like LaFleur's Bluff or something.
Yes.
Like shut that golf course down and move
Perfect
the zoo
place
there.
for it. Perfect place. for it.
I think it's just that location. It's just such a kind of a. I mean, I haven't been there in years.
We were there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I like the zoo.
The
I mean,
zoo
I think
itself
it's great.
was great, but
Yeah.
you just think you had to drive through such a rough part of town to get to it.
What you've got to do, and maybe you told me this, there was an investor who was going to put $25 million to move it because he was going to develop some other.
No, I hadn't heard that.
But I've heard that from a couple of people, and he was like, move it over here. We'll put it by the museums and everything.
I think that'd be a great spot for
Because
it.
it's a children's museum there, the science museum.
And it's
a
visible.
perfect-
It's visible from the road.
Absolutely.
It's not a. It's not like what we would perceive as a
But
bad section of town
that
or
property
anything.
that it's moving from, there should be some money thrown to that to develop it into something
Yeah, into
worthwhile
something
for
that can be-
community.
for
you
that
give
community,
them
yeah.
2 bites at the apple.
Yeah.
Everybody else, every other city district gets maybe their share, but you give. I think it was in. I don't know which district it's in, but I think it's 3. I might be wrong.
I'm not
about
sure.
that. But you give them a double bite.
Yeah.
For compensation of moving an asset.
Well, but I don't want it to be compensation. I want it to be something that
Money.
would help that
Money.
community.
Money will help.
No, wait. I mean, develop
money helps
it.
me.
Yeah, but you got to convert it into something else.
Well, I
is
understand
it going to be a
that, but
park?
yes,
is it going to
but
be
you need a
know,
steady stream. They need to make an investment and understand they're making an investment. But it's the same thing with county line. Someone needs to tell someone at the city of Jackson, you got to give a no tax zone out here because they're talking about Hinds County's talking about increasing the millage for school districts. So your property tax is going to be sky high. People are running that ranking. They're
Yeah,
running to,
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
go ahead and give a no tax zone to put something in Old Sam's, to put something in these big Circuit City or whatever that is now. And to fill these buildings up to get some revenue coming in.
Yeah.
Well, that is a real problem. I personally think the only
Is
solution.
something in Circuit City right now?
No, it's closed.
Closed.
They went bankrupt.
Okay, but
Yeah, the only no one's in there that I can think of. I think the only way to save Jackson at this point is to be able to give any business that hires a Hinds County resident and has their business in Hinds County to get a $2,000 federal tax credit. It's being done in some counties right now.
Where's your business located?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it would help me for sure.
I'm just
'Cause
asking, where is it
I'll move it if it will pass.
You're in Hinds County.
Yeah, I am, but I will move it out of there if they'll just pass it because I was born in Jackson, raised in Jackson. I love Jackson. They need to do something.
What do you mean?
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I don't want to leave
Hinds
Hinds County.
You were accusing me of being biased about it.
You are biased about it, but that's fine. You can be biased about it. Money. I mean, we work for money. I mean, that's why we work.
You accuse
That's
me
why
about
I
it.
work. I don't know how you work. Why do you work, Mr. Nixon?
For money.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do it for my health.
Yeah,
No.
that's not satisfaction.
Not practicing law for health reasons.
But no, I mean, is there any other candidates, Mr. Nixon, being a citizen of Clinton, that you would like to see to get into Jackson? What is the perception? I'm going to put you in charge of the Clintonian view. What is the perception of Jackson? Is it too late to save it?
Probably a lot. There's a lot of people in Clinton who would probably say that. I don't believe that. I think that if you have someone who gets in there who has the political will to do what needs to be done and to, take the shots that are going to come when you make those hard decisions. I think it could be turned around. You just think of it. It's not the best example, but you just think about what Giuliani did in New York. In terms of lowering the crime, some of it may have been controversial, but the point is that it can be done if you have someone with the political will to do it and to take the shots, take the criticism, but still do what needs to be done.
Is there any component or equation that happens where City of Jackson comes back without getting rid of the crime problem?
No.
They got to get rid of the crime, or contain it into a very small pocket.
Well, so what else is a city government for? Crime and infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's what your city government is supposed to do: crime prevention and infrastructure. And if they're not doing either of those two things well, then they're not doing the most basic things that a city government is supposed to do.
I don't see right now someone who's going to win mayor who's announced. I don't see the winner out there.
No one else is announced. Who's announced?
I don't know, and I don't know about other candidates.
Patty Patterson is putting out there that she's running.
I haven't heard her name at all, and I do. I know there was a meeting with potential candidates, decide who was going to run.
I wonder how he knows.
And there was probably about 4 people who wanted to run for mayor, and that meeting was unsuccessful as to determine who it would be.
It's a tough job, and I think Lumumba is going to be a strong candidate.
No doubt, he's going to get it. He's going to get 30%, 35%, no matter
tough
what.
To beat, and but I don't know. And I think for him, if we've talked about, we feel like he has higher aspirations. Well, he's even said he has higher aspirations.
Well, I think
if he cleaned up Jackson, even though there would be a short term political hit, but if he made those hard decisions and got those things done, that would help him in the long run.
Really, really hard decisions when he was mayor. He raised the water tax.
Yeah.
And it needed to be done.
Right.
No one had the guts to do it. He did some things that really did help Jackson.
Right.
And I don't think it's changed that much. Right. Oh.
No, now let me say this. Moving on, is it time for metro government in Jackson, Mississippi? Topic number 5.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
The next topic.
Metro government?
Where Rankin County, Madison County, and Hinds County would have to sit at a committee, and they would govern what happens, or they would have a say. It would be the next step between state, county, city. You would have all the municipalities and county that join in and contribute taxes.
That can never happen. You might as well find a rainbow with a pot of goat.
It happens in every big city.
It's not going to happen.
Every big city.
Yeah. Now, I will admit it needs for crime purposes.
But it also happens because there's only one airport. We all know that we can't have multiple airports. We all know, it prevents the convention center battle we have going on with Flowood and the state and then Jackson. And what happens is because you get people upon each other and they realize they've got to be. Now, some of them are stronger than others, but Dade County, Broward, Dade County, you hear these counties or Dallas, Fort Worth. Fort Worth.
Yeah.
God, I almost said Fort Walton. But yes, you get these groups that govern together because what's going to happen is people in Madison, people in Rankin, or people in Clinton, they're saying it's Jackson's problem. It's not. It's our capital city.
Well, I do think the police departments need to get together and come up with a unified plan for all those counties and be actually not govern, but have rules on engagement of what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it.
Some sort of cooperation.
And there is none.
Coordination.
Well, not only that, but assets like the airport. But, it's got to be a give and take. Jackson can't be giving up everything. But, Jackson would get more. The reason I'm for it, Jackson would be getting more tax revenue because you'd have some sort of metro government tax. But this way, you could strengthen the courts. You'd have to have some sort of court system. But this way, we would be investing in the capital city. Because, people are just going to leave it, and then we're going to end up taking it over. The federal government's going to take it over.
Yeah, I'm with Richie. It's not going to happen. Rankin County will never do anything like that.
No, of course not.
No way.
No, it's not ever going to happen.
I agree.
You're telling me if Rankin County could take over the airport or have a say in the airport, which they're fighting for
They already
now.
have.
Well, no.
They've already done that.
They're not going to cede any kind of law enforcement jurisdiction or
why would you
powers or
not? Why would
influence
Rankin
for
and
the
Madison
airport.
not
No way.
want to put people over in Jackson to help with the crime situation?
because that costs them money to do that.
Well, I think there'd also be the perception that they might do that if they got a say in what happened.
That's what I'm saying.
But they're not going to send guys over there to then just be subject to other local governance that they don't agree with.
No, that's what I'm saying. They would have a say. It wouldn't just be them coming to Jackson's aid.
Well,
it
then
would
if
be,
Rankin County's going to get the say in Jackson, then I don't think Jackson is going to go along with that.
But what
you know what I mean?
But
There's
I do think the police departments need to be united.
There needs to be more
that obviously needs to
Yeah.
happen.
What I'm
that
saying is-
that does.
Usually it starts off with my studies of this starts off with jurisdiction. You need a criminal issue that can drive through Pearl, through Rankin, through Hines, and not we'll have to worry about who's got jurisdiction. But
so having like a metro police that has a larger jurisdictional area.
But more importantly, at some point we've got to recognize the crime of Jackson is not going to stay in Jackson. The criminals of Jackson is not going to stay here. They're going, they've already started coming to Ridgeland, and then they're already, they're end up going like somebody in Madison County, the guy who was robbing in Jackson, I was told, took the gun up to Madison. He was robbing in Jackson, took the gun up to Madison. They caught him up there. They gave him 234 years.
Ooh-wee.
And now, I don't know if that made newspaper or not, but I had a guy who called me and said, you ain't going to believe what happened now. But, I mean, they do that.
Hope he gets off for good behavior.
Well, no, I mean,
he only may get down to 100 years. Yeah.
But at some point, it's better to fight the fight over in Jackson. Because you don't have the car, and they can say, we're going to keep them out. You're not going to keep them out. But, I mean, people have conversations all the time about Pearl. Has Pearl, jumped the shark? Because people are fleeing Jackson. But if they're not, they're going to have to go somewhere. And then you get into that case that's pending in the Fifth Circuit. What's the constitutional rights of kids in Jackson JPS to have the same educational system because their parents can't move to Clinton?
Right.
Or they can't move out. We've got to learn how to address the metro areas, because we're not viewed, Rankin County is viewed as Rankin County or Madison County, or Clinton's viewed in Jackson as that. But you go in New York, you go in Florida, no one knows where Clinton is. No one knows where Madison is. It's Jackson.
Yeah.
And if you move into Jackson, it's a garbage hole.
Yeah. But that comes back. Maybe that's one of those hard. I mean, I think it's politically just impossible. But that's one of those hard decisions that that might have to be made that would help improve Jackson.
Totally.
Okay, let's pool law enforcement resources and get crime in the whole metro area.
I've always
under
said
better control.
The governor needs to get the National Guard out in these areas that people are dying. Everyone has a right to live in their home and be peaceful.
But then with crime
safe.
prevention comes the inevitable overzealous officer who and then we have our own viral moment here. There's all these risks with doing that.
There's risk with everything, as opposed to having people live in their home.
Right now, JPD feels like the mayor is not supporting.
Well, and they're also so short-handed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know how they're doing this. So stretched, so thin. And I mean, really, your money should be going to security. And everyone has a right to live in their home and not be afraid of bullets going to go through your wall and kill you. Yeah. So National Guard, the quick fix is to get the National Guard out there.
Well, you saw where Mike Hurst has trying to cut a deal with Jackson, and the mayor and Mike Hurst has gone back and forth about this. And Mike offered a federal operation to come in to help with crime, and the mayor hasn't got back to him. He goes, well, he hasn't called me, and Mike Hurst has come back. Now, some background story, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard Mike Hurst and the mayor was going around talking about crime and kind of like a town hall.
Yeah.
And supposedly Lumumba said, you don't know about crime, you're not from around here, you're not black, basically. And Mike Hurst responded, yeah, I grew up in a trailer, Mayor. You don't know what it's like being poor, and no poor person in the Southern District is going to have to be worried about being a victim of crime as long as I'm the district attorney. Oh. And so there's some history there. And, of course, Mike Hurst is being political. He wants that. He ran for AG and lost, and he's looking for that next.
He's got a great job. I mean, he's doing it.
He's not going to have it possibly in a couple months.
It's possible.
So he's looking for, and he's a politician.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looking for, but I mean, I haven't dealt with him personally. Do you know Mike?
I don't know Mike.
But he has 6 kids. He seems to be a conservative person, but I hear he treats people fair. But I mean, he's trying to put extra troops or officers in Jackson.
That's what needs to happen. Something needs to be done, and why the mayor would turn that down is beyond.
Because the mayor does not want to see pro police. He just doesn't. For whatever reason, whether it's the shootings by the officers not being cleared or by him amping things up. When he was talking about the crime, they announced a new program where they were talking to social workers and long-term, which I agree with, but you got to have a carrot and a stick.
Yeah.
And right now, there's not a stick in Hinds County that people are afraid of.
It's economics, jobs. I mean, you have something.
Right.
If you have a job, you're not, and you have something to lose. You're not going to do something that will lose it all.
You're not going to invest anything in a community that's going to set a record for murders.
That I agree with it, but you would if you got a $2,000 tax credit for every person you hire.
That would not offset the crime element of your what you'd have to pay.
You'd have to do the math
Yeah.
on that, on whether that would work out in the long term. I mean, that would help. That'd be a good incentive.
I think it would be a
But
great.
you could have a conversation that could be one component, and I do believe you. Like I said, with drugs, what I would do with drugs is more of a drug court, administrative issues, treating addiction. We can do all that, but until I ask everybody, what's your line? Rape? What my line is? Did someone get injured? And I don't mean an ER, I got a scratch. Did someone have to go to the ER, ICU? Someone's got to go to jail. I got to put some weight on you. But if anything else, I can help you. I can try to get you another job. I can give you another chance.
You're talking about, but the jails are full.
That's why
and they're not putting people in jail.
Are you going to let a murderer go?
No.
Are you going to let? So you have a line.
I got criticized when I was city prosecutor that all the people saying, "Oh, we don't have room in jails." I said, "Look, if someone commits a serious crime, we're going to find room for them."
That's what I just said. You have to draw a line.
Yeah.
And you came back to jails are full. You have to draw a line.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, whether it's a federal takeover, if I was Hinds County, I'd be negotiating with Rankin and Madison because the feds are coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you don't, it's either going to be a bankruptcy, and it's going to be a bankruptcy trustee, or it's going to be some sort of federal operation.
Well, I definitely think the city is on its way to bankruptcy. I will say one thing, that downtown is starting to improve a little bit. They're building apartments.
Oh, I went downtown the other day. I didn't even recognize it.
But it's
Didn't even recognize it.
Yeah, but everything's
You mean in a
turning
good
into
way or a
apartments.
bad way?
No, in a bad way.
Oh.
I had not been downtown. My office is in Ridgeland, where we are now, because as a prosecutor, I called JPD because I had a problem with a client, and I'm still waiting for him. Now, I mean, I just got a ticket from Ridgeland PD today because my tag has expired because once again, somehow I didn't get my Hinds County renewal sticker. Now, it's my fault. I should have noticed. But no,
Right.
I mean,
The burden's on you.
I hear bullet shots, and I'm in Ridgeland, but I know if I call Ridgeland PD, they're going to be here in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to put. I've had office space down there. You got to get a security guard. You've got to get, worried about parking. You got to worry about. There was several times we worked till 8 o'clock at night, and there's the bums out there. Hinds County, David Archie, you said we're sick of the bums. The city of Jackson won't do anything. We're going to take care of them. Jackson's going to implode one way or another. I would plan the implosion and try to start cutting deals with the state, cutting deals with Madison and Rankin, where you can be the swing vote. Think about how much power Hinds County gets if there's 3 votes, Madison and Rankin, and I get to decide whether it goes to the big. It's not coming to Hinds.
Well, I think that would be just the opposite. Madison and Rankin would agree on more
they would
things.
always be ganging up against
There would
that.
be
But
no
but what I'm
swing
saying
vote.
is, but if they're fighting over who gets the new Continental Tire, and everybody has a vote, Madison's always going to vote for Madison. Rankin's always going to vote for Rankin. I get a little.
And Hinds County's going to vote for Hinds County.
No, but that's when you guys say, look, I'm the swing vote. I'm not going to ever get the majority, but I can decide who gets to here. What do I get? And now you're getting some income. Now you're getting some tax base. Now you're relevant. The state doesn't care what Jackson thinks. Is there any Republican candidate or political politician or statewide elected officer who cares about Jackson?
Didn't appear so.
No, well, there's no reason because it's so overwhelming.
It is our capital
it's
city.
overwhelmingly Democrat.
They don't
though,
care. They tried to move it. Governor Bryant tried to move the Capitol a couple of years ago until someone explained to him the Constitution.
Yeah.
They was going to move it to Brandon.
Yeah, it's kind of Jackson is just sort of written off from a Republican
Yes.
standpoint. It's just
You've got to get at the
I think
table and
so.
negotiate,
Yeah.
and they're not. The best thing the biggest win Jackson's had in a while is not getting JPS taken over, but I think that was a loss. I think the state should have taken them over. But we're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been Please remember to view us on Facebook at the Richie and Hazz Show or view us at YouTube. We did about 1,200 views. Great premiere.
Yeah.
We were shocked by it. We appreciate everybody. Spread the word. We're going to
$250. Don't forget about that.
We're giving $250 per week for the best comment on our Facebook page. But we are trying to get out there. Right now, this will be shot in 2 parts.
YouTube comments too also apply.
Is this your money or my money?
No, I'm just asking.
I'm just
Brent, he's
money,
making sure you don't forget something.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking you if y'all can hit your ass pockets. I mean, y'all got money. Y'all spending my money well. I am personally still sponsoring the Brent Hazard Young Waitress program out there. The pandemic has hit them, and the rehab facilities are not getting any cheaper out there, boys and girls. Okay? I've got my social obligations, and I'm in therapy for this. So, I mean, there's only so much money.
You need to go in-house.
Wow. That gets expensive when I move them out. I always move baby in. And then I tell Richie, I can't believe she got a key to the house. And Richie's like, how'd she get a key? Well. Anyway, we're wrapping this up. We'll be back. We'll be trying to drop new content per week. You're going to be seeing a lot of part 2s. We're filling all this out, like where to look, how to do technology that failed today. And we're running out of time. But once again, Richie, how do people get a hold of you?
601-9
Stephen?
601-925-4700.
And the name of your firm?
My firm is Milner and Nixon, and we actually do know stuff about law. So we're kind of pooling our ignorance sometimes about the national issues. I'm afraid, but we know some stuff about law.
If you're going to do a closing, real estate closing, I call Stephen Nixon.
That's a good point.
Yes. So we appreciate the disagreement we have here. Or, if you have a car wreck, I call Richard
We're
Schwartz.
actually all good friends. And we can have people.
Whoa.
Except for you.
I'm a paid whore. Okay? Y'all pay for my friendship. The check stop. Y'all ain't going to see me again.
You got $1?
Yeah.
Whoa,
there we go.
I'm a high price whore. Okay? Me and the Jenkins boys don't come along cheap. There's a premium for that type of effort. But with all that said, thank you for watching. We'll be back. And we'll be back next 2 weeks. New content in 2 weeks. Thank you.